to be a fanatic for Christ, to be of the world, but not in the world, but not of the world, to be set apart, you guys, to truly be that city on a hill. You're going to stand out. You're going to look peculiar. We're called to be peculiar, chosen people. And we should be indistinguishable. We should be distinguishable. We should be distinguished. I'm saying it. Yeah, we should be distinguished amongst non-believers rather than living in a way that is indistinguishable from non-believers, which would mean like, I can't tell if you're a Christian or you're not a Christian based in this moment. Are there moments in your life where that's the case? This would be lukewarmness, following cultural trends over biblical practices. This is the Santa compo, like Easter Bunny. Okay, no, not real, actually demonic. Doesn't make sense that we would celebrate that together. But because everybody else is, and that's the holiday, let's just do it anyway. You guys, oh, this is an invitation. This is an invitation. I don't want, as God did it with me, with the spirit of condemnation, I do not want this to be what you hear. I don't want you to hear religious. I want you to hear relationship, because when I came into relationship with God, everything was better. Everything made more sense. Even my relationship with the Word, right? He is alive. He said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, is God. And so that relationship with the Word makes me stand against the world. It does. It makes me stand outside of the world. It gives you a higher perspective, a kingdom perspective. And it is so beautiful to watch what fruit grows in that abiding. I want to abide in the Word, not in the world. All right, last one. I'll stop preaching. I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm not sorry. Is desire for growth. Okay, if you are satisfied with a shallow understanding of faith rather than seeking transformation, you've become lukewarm. If you're, raised up in a Christian home and like your mama's faith was enough for you, or your grandmama's faith was enough for you, her prayers were amazing. Why are her prayers amazing and your prayers not amazing? Because you're not practicing. Why is their prophetic gift so amazing and yours isn't? Because you're not practicing. Why can they worship so freely and like, oh, I wish I could dance like that. I wish I could put my hands up like that, because you're not practicing. Faith is a practice, right? And I am practicing for miracles. I am practicing for healing, signs, and wonder to flow through me, because that's literally the promise. Promises only come through practice. What do you think the disciples did? If disciples didn't practice, which is why Jesus encouraged them to pray like me, to come and do what I do, like literally that's what practicing the way, which I love that book by John Mark Comer, is. That's what it is. It's practice, people. Discipleship is practice. We are coming up underneath the rabbi. We're coming up underneath the teacher of teachers, the King of Kings. And he's saying, walk like me, talk like me, be like me, wander like me, dance like David, like dance like me. But if there's no desire for growth, you're borrowing somebody else's faith who is on fire more than you to say, pray for me. Oh my gosh, that's like a big one right there. Will you pray for me? Will you pray for me? I love to pray for people. And if you need prayer, send me an Instagram. Literally, I mean that. Send me an Instagram message and I will stop and I will pray for you right then on a voice memo, because it is that powerful and I know what the outcome is. But if you're constantly going to other people and asking for prayer, I need prayer for this, I need prayer for this, I need prayer. Now, two or more are gathered, there God will be. Like there's going to be breakthrough because mass amounts of people are praying. Yes, 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 yes. But the question is, like people have memed this, I think. Are you praying about it as much as you're talking about it? Are you praying about it as much as you're complaining about it? Are you praying about it as much as you're letting your mind swirl and worry, or creating new stories about it and letting the enemy control the narrative versus God himself? Are you, here's a good one. Are you praying about it as much as you're Googling it rather than going to the word? Man, God is inviting you in. He's inviting me in this moment. I was just listening to a friend who had like their child got diagnosed with something, and it was Crohn's disease, and she, got the call and she was sitting in the bathroom and she was just like shocked. She was like in tears, and of course doesn't really even know what that is, but she knows it's bad, and that he immediately tells her, the doctor, don't Google it. Well, where do you think she's at? She's already in front of the computer already Googling it. And she starts to worry and she starts to like get in doubt and oh, how are we going to do this and how's my whole life going to change? And then her very next step was to call a fellow believer, call a sister in Christ who was a on fire Christian who runs to her side to say, we're going to get through this and don't Google it. And we'll find out from the doctor and we'll make an action plan from there. And I'll partner with you. And so even as we think about this, our on fire relationship is just as critical for our friends as ourselves. It's of course is critical for our spouse. It's of course critical for our children and our children's children. And for me, I witnessed it the opposite. Those older than me, right? Like I'm more spiritually mature than some people who are age-wise older than me. They have maturity in maybe some areas, but I always have to take that wisdom or that conversation. It's not even really wisdom until it's been tried against Jesus's truth. Is I got to bring that to the word. And I'm like, oh, yeah, like I see what you're saying, but God says this. And so let me do this. I'm going to put this into practice, maybe with a bit of principle that you're sharing with me that might have truth to it, but I only want it to be true. And I only want to glorify God, not this person's advice. So understanding that we know this, your faith's friend or your friend's faith has healed you. That happened with the paralytic, right? Your faith made you well when the woman went after the cloak and she got healed of 12 years of bleeding. It wasn't the touch, it was the faith made you well. And so it was the reaching out. And no lukewarm people are reaching out. They're just staying like comfortably, got their hands in their pocket. Oh man, I'm going to go on a rant. You ready? They're worshiping with their hands in their pocket. And there is like a amazing song, joyous song, like radical fun. Jump around, throw your hands to heaven, like I said, dance like David kind of song on. And the lukewarm Christian is looking down at their phone. Their eyes are wide open. They're just kind of like reading the lyrics. They're not even tapping their foot. Now, I understand some people don't have rhythm. That's okay. I understand that some people just like that's not their thing. But if I'm practicing for heaven and I know all day every day I'm going to be worshiping the King of Kings and I've got a lot to be thankful for, I better turn up the volume. I better turn up the heat on my worship because there's a breakthrough in worship. There's that song, worship is my warfare, praise is my weapon. Ooh, that's so good. So, how do you overcome lukewarm faith? Maybe you're in any genre of these. Like I said, been there, done that, sometimes am that, and I got to work on it myself. I got to practice through, I got to push through.